recording here. And today I just really want to share some thoughts on a topic that's special for me in terms of innovation and using innovation to drive education for students. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. And so we turn these, I turn these sprints, innovation sprints, as micro immersive experiences. And I think as you'll see that they're really in depth with community partners, and it creates this atmosphere for students to engage and learn quickly through theory and application. And so it's active, it's highly relevant, it's real world, it's hands-on, it forces creativity, it's cognitive, it's very social and interactive. It's transformational learning in terms of how I present this to students. It's been very well received. So to start with, to give you a little foundation on what the catalyst was. So in the National Association of Colleges and Employers, they did a study of graduates and employers to find, what their proficiency levels were. And so, as you can see here, students' expectation, or what students expected their proficiencies to be, were quite high, and what the employer saw was much lower. So there's a huge gap in what were the proficiencies that employers were expecting from college graduates. Even more disturbing is college graduates believe themselves to be more proficient in these categories than they were. And the common learning objectives: oral, written communication, critical thinking and problem solving, and teamwork and collaboration. Even though teamwork and collaboration you see is the smallest gap there at 8%. So that one for me is pretty negligible in terms of overall. So we're doing a really good job at teamwork and collaboration, but we're still far below expectation from employers in several other categories, including oral and written communication and critical thinking, problem solving. And so what can we do as educators to reduce or eliminate this proficiency gap that exists? So, historically, in the 30s and 40s, we identified these silos and we called them majors. And academia moved from this really cross-disciplinary practices that had been going on prior to the 30s and 40s into these silos. And it was a disconnect between what the faculty were needing in terms of research, promotion, tenure, budgets, and the administration in terms of, well, we only have so much money and we only have so many students and we only have, so we created silos for all these things to function more efficiently, but it was detrimental to the students. And we've learned that over the years that because of these silos, we've become less interactive across campus, and students aren't as broadly exposed broadly to a variety of different concepts and a variety of different experiences. So what I'm trying to do is eliminate these silos across campus and across schools to create a more interactive learning experience. So multidisciplinary coursework then has been shown to improve critical thinking skills, to improve communication skills, to translate hard skills into soft skills, right? Or soft skills into hard skills. To creatively synthesize information, to take information and process it more rapidly, because that's what's expected of them in industry, that they can operate more autonomously without a lot of hand-holding and without a lot of guidance. Is here's our problem, what are you going to do? You need to go fix this and then report back to me. And so students are ill prepared for that type of environment. And so really trying to create this multidisciplinary coursework so that students are exposed more broadly to bigger concepts and how people's perception and perspective add to the value of their learning. So that kind of sets the stage for an agile business, right? So most learning occurs outside of the classroom through chance encounters and interactions with other students. What we need are more intentional learning experiences outside of the classroom. So agile businesses operate in this world of, we have to be able to react and respond to uncertainty, changing conditions in the marketplace, to changes in our employers, in their skill sets. Are they improving? Where are they deficient? How are we bringing people in? Some people leave, go on to new positions. Some people are promoted. And so they're constantly flexing and moving. So as you can see here, the top companies are engaging in innovative practices that lead change rather than reacting to change. And so some of these practices look like human-centered design thinking, innovation sprints, flash teaming, rapid prototyping, where failure is encouraged, to fail and fail fast, to learn from it and make the next iteration, right? So companies like Intel and Catalyst and PepsiCo and Atlassian, Amazon, Coca-Cola, and several others are all engaging in these type of practices that help them prepare for what's next and move and create lead change rather than being reactors to change. So solution, right? We've got all these problems. Businesses are doing this. It hasn't really made its way into education. And so there's not a lot of research done on this area, which is one of the things that I really want, that I've been doing over the last few years and trying to bring more awareness to these ideas, is that a micro-immersive educational experience, they're short, they're contextual, they're multidiscipline, and they transform the student learning in partnership with industry partners. And so these little quick hitter type of experiences, it keeps their attention and it helps them make fast decisions, right? And so there was a recent article that came out on the 11th, just a couple of days ago, that talks about, in today's time of uncertainty, being able to make decisions and learn from it is a skill that most companies don't have, and they've learned from COVID. It's a skill that they must have because they don't know what things are going to look like 10 days from now. So they have to be flexible. They have to learn how to make these decisions with ambiguity. With ambiguous results or ambiguous outcomes, we don't know what that's going to look like. So we have to create students that are prepared for these type of activities. So human-centered design promotes empathy and understanding. This is a common expectation of a soft skill that we want our students to have. That there's a shared purpose across faculty, students, professionals, and programs when you're engaging in these cross-disciplinary learning collaborative models. So when you're working with somebody outside of your own department, outside of your own school, and students are interacting in that manner and learning from one another, it really promotes this high learning opportunity. It's really a high impact practice. And so we talk about that a lot in education, and this is another level of that. Students take ownership of the process and develop leadership skills. So when we go into these micro-immersive practices, We have a very much a scheduled routine. We're going to cover that in just a couple of slides, but it really really gets them to move and move quickly, and they have to take ownership of different things and learn how to work together collaboratively based on their personal strengths. These are curated projects by faculty members. So they're curated in the way that we can be intentional about what we're trying to get students to learn from these individual organizations and companies as we're bringing them into the fold. And so we can be very specific about how we're structuring these micro-immersive experiences. Diverse experience or diverse expertise, again, multidisciplinary, increases depth of learning, breadth of knowledge. And then it emphasizes iterative growth through layered learning. So not only are we looking at students that are cross-discipline, but I'm going to show you in just a second that we've also done, I've also done these kind of micro-immersive experiences where we've had grad school students working with freshmen, and they're actually pulling them up in terms of intellectual knowledge and output. Again, it's active, it's relevant, it's real world, it's hands-on, it's creative, cognitive, makes them think, it's social, and it's transformational. So the first was a proof of concept, was the theory exercise when I was at IUPUI in February of 2015. And the premise was very simple. We brought students together and we asked them to create a fan experience, to enhance the fan experience at a basketball game for the Indiana Pacers. We opened it up to the entire university, and the participation rate was quite large, and it was unexpected. But there was a hunger for them to engage in something. And on the right-hand side here was the flyer. So students didn't know what the challenge was when they arrived. It was a surprise. So really all they had was this flyer on the right that shows innovation challenge, that there was some free food, that they were going to go see a game, and that there were some prizes up to $3,000 in terms of scholarship monies. And so, and it was over basically 24 hours. And so we started at one point, we worked throughout the afternoon on in sessions, and then we're going to get to the schedule in the next slide. So they got excited about this. It was different. So a schedule might look something like this. We started at noon. We had our lunch registration. We introduced them to the project, and we asked them to find their teammates and to create a team. Largely, we put some parameters on this. They couldn't work with somebody from their own program or own department. There were no more than two. They couldn't be more than one person above a bachelor's degree on their team. So if you were a master's student or a doctoral student, you had to have your own team. We really created this idea where we forced them to choose students outside of their norm, outside of their own discipline, and have them engage and interact. We brought in professionals from industry to teach these jam sessions of 15 minutes. So Indiana Pacers came in and kind of introduced the whole project and what their purpose, why they were after this. We brought in Tracy Hitz from the NCAA to bring her insights in. And we taught these little 15-minute sessions followed by 45 minutes of application. So small bites with lots of application, highly interactive. So we had professors and industry partners then working with these teams on that one specific concept for 45 minutes. And then we took a break and kind of allowed them to reset. And then we layered on the next level of 15 more minutes of learning, followed by 45 minutes of application, so that it kept stacking, but it was in a very, very short time frame. Here are the results. We had 40 registered students of grad and undergrad. 27 students participated. We divided those into they divided themselves into 7 teams. We had 16 different disciplines and majors represented. 11 registered and 11 disciplines actually participated. Team criteria was, like I said, 50% undergrad, and then couldn't be from the same school. And then cross-discipline and vertical collaborative learning took place. So not only were they learning each other, but they were learning in this vertical sheet where they were also learning from people that had already gone through some of the courses or gone through a different level of learning, and fed them knowledge that they could use and understand. Because they were with that person for 24 hours, it really elevated the overall learning, and it lasted throughout their entire program, which was really cool. We presented 6 high-level products to the industry, to the Indiana Pacers, 3 of which were developed into patentable products. 1 became a service, and you see the San Francisco 49ers actually are using the software that was developed at this challenge. And then we presented 11 different scholarships to the top 3 teams of various prize amounts, and it was all sponsored by outside funding. We did have some school funding within there too, within the programs. Some programs put up money at the end after they saw the outcome. So fast forward, we completed this in fall of November 2019. This time I wanted to find out if there was a difference between an inter-school or interdisciplinary interdisciplinary framework versus an inter-school collaboration. So we had 3 different universities come together and work on a 24-hour challenge for Fair Oaks Farms. And so what was really interesting about this is that we took sport management students who weren't really associated or had knowledge of farming, completely outside of what their normal is, what their understanding of sport is, and all that. So we totally changed it up to create these new experiences, brought these 3 institutions together. There was a diverse learning that occurred within sport management. We talk about tourism, hospitality, analytics, engineering, finance, and event operations. These were students that all participated with various different focuses of sport within sport management, and they were all undergraduate, juniors, and seniors, and with the simple goal of just extending the visitor stay from 1 day to a multi-day experience through sport and physical activity. The outcomes were not as good. They weren't as well as deep or as presented as well as a multidiscipline where we had a lot of different majors coming in. That was really interesting for me to witness. The level, the scope was much better when there were more disciplines brought into the fold. So this says something about the silo effect that we're trying to eliminate, is that silos, even within our own specific, like IPE for the medical industry, they need to consider working outside of their own fields. So some student reflections were very, very positive overall. 10 out of the 12 students participated, reported, and 70% would recommend this to other students. It kept their attention very well. Some of the fears and some of the emotional things that it created was fear of collaborating with strangers, walking into the job for the first time and not knowing somebody and then expected to work on a project together. If that is quite common in the sports, because we work in such small small number of employees, so we're expected to wear multiple hats and do multiple things, and they expect you to hit the ground running. And then fear of presenting to executives. So students present their findings immediately to the people that could actually hire them or give them a position. And so there's a little bit of intensity there, which really ramps up their engagement. But it's all well documented. It really it pushed them beyond what they would normally get in the classroom. So there are 10 benefits of innovation sprints for transformational learning. I hope that you can take some of these away with you today. They're frequent, quick, continuous layering of concepts, so that helps students learn in a short time frame. There's less time between concept theory and application, so it increases the student connection to the concept. The instructor and students work together because we're engaged with them as they're going through this process. We're coaching them, we're mentoring them, and we're helping them develop and understand these concepts. So they don't get too far left or right of not understanding, and we can bring them quickly back into focus. It's real time. So we're monitoring these students in real time, and we can customize to the needs of each student that way. Communication is improved because there's not a lot of time. So when you're on 24 hours and you're on 15-minute learning cycles, there's not a lot of time. So it speeds up this whole idea of communication and what effective communication looks like. Time constraints drive students to perform simple tasks rather than looking at the big picture going, oh, I'm overwhelmed. We give them these little bite-sized nuggets so that they can learn more quickly, and they focus on those little bite-sized rather than thinking about the big picture to solve complex issues. Rapid prototyping, driving trial and error to drive iterative learning. And then accepting change. Even at the late stages, students were still coming up with new ideas of how they could tweak it and make their solutions even better. And increase creativity. So sometimes we would take the constraints away, like budget, and add in a time constraint. Sometimes I could put in a budget constraint to restrict their thinking about how we would pay for this. And that would always cause additional challenges, but it made them think, right? So this cognitive learning. And then multidisciplines. Collaborative experiences increase breadth of knowledge and understanding and depth of learning. I've seen this now throughout two, and I have another one coming up for the NCAA at the Final Four this year. I'll be recruiting teams. We're looking for 100 teams to do a virtual experience. 25 teams of 4 to do a virtual experience for the NCAA. And so I'll be recruiting for that. So if you're interested, you can always drop me a line at North Central, Larry Jinkins. I'm at North Central College. So I want to open this up for some questions. In 2 minutes.
Larry, I might have missed this, but how do you recruit the students? It wasn't part of a class or anything. Was it mostly just students volunteering to participate in it, or what did that look like?
It's all volunteer.
Really cool idea.
It changes students' idea of what learning can be, and puts them in these high pressure situations to think fast, and it helps them get out of their own way.
Thanks, Larry.
So it's been really, sorry, go ahead.
How do you come up with the problem that needs to be solved? So does the industry come to you with the problem, or do you approach the industry with the idea, or how does the topic come up on what exactly they need to solve or do?
So I typically identify the partner, and I'm working with them on projects and other things for class related things anyway. And I often approach them after we've gotten a relationship and saying, hey, we do these really cool 24-hour micro immersive experiences. Is there a problem sitting on your back burner that you would love to have answers to, but really don't have the time or resources to give to that? And they always come up with, I've got this thing sitting on, I've been wanting to do this for years. I just don't have the personnel to do it. We love the back burner projects.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you.
So I'll probably be reaching out to Farah and Sean, and because you guys are local. But
Yeah,
when we do it,
absolutely. That'd be great.
we'll do. We're doing one for the NCAA in the spring. I'm working with them to iron out the details, but it's going to, we're going to do this virtually for the first time, so it's going to be interesting to see. But we're hoping to get 100 students working in 25 teams collaboratively on solving an issue for the NCAA.
No, just to echo Farah, that'd be great, Larry. So we look forward to hearing from you and collaborating with you.
So it looks like I'm down to 45 seconds. Thanks, Luigi, for being here. Megan? I think Nicole was here. Yep. Thank you for being here, Nicole. Appreciate you.
Now we know how our students feel when we give them that minute time clock, right? When we're in their breakout sessions.
Yeah, I struggle with this idea that students, our industry partners, people are losing their jobs, and students, trying to just be open to them and just tell them what's going on.
Right.